Alright. Welcome back to Combatants Will Be Dispatched. Anime Review Episode 2. Yeah, I know it's been like a week since I did the last one. Well, the thing with this one is that this... Now, here's the thing. The first two episodes released the first two Sundays of last month, and then for some strange reason, they decided to take almost like a 3-week break between episodes for some unknown reason. And they just released a new episode dubbed today. Now, this episode, from what I can tell, adapts from chapter 3 of the book. Yep. So, starts off with a meeting of all the big generals. Where they're trying to plan a new strategy. And of course, well, they mentioned, oh yeah, the demon armors retreated for some reason. And then Agent 6 like, that was me. I did it. And they're like, how? Destroy our supply lines. Even though they probably don't like it as a principle, but it was very effective and cut down casualties. So they hold up at this tower and... Oh yeah, then he can use the idiot chief of staff, as we call him, this old man, which he does look a little bit different, doesn't the manga? In the manga, he actually looks like he has a beard. In the anime, he's, well, he's basically an old man with a balding, who's very balding. And he explains who he is because apparently this guy never heard him before. Like, oh yeah, you're in charge of women and children. And he's like, yeah, this is the guy who basically sent the army packing. So, and then later on, of course, then we cut to something we kind of teased last week, where we try to have Alice trying to have Rose eat a grasshopper, where they explain a little bit of her backstory. This is mostly kept in common from the actual light novel, where her creator just found her in this tube, which... The way that the tech looks very similar to the one that the corporation made. So he found her, basically kind of raised her, and of course he looked for this particular stone, which kind of sounds like the Philosopher's Stone, the way they describe it. Which I think that's what we're looking for, some more miracles. Of course he died, and later on he was recruited in the army. And of course they made her an apprentice agent, and she told... Alice told Rose, start calling her Mama. Which, yes, she did in this book too. He's like, why put a badge on me for? And she's like, oh, I'm older than you. Which, that's kind of true because, well, Alice has probably only been online for probably about a year, maybe 2, if she's lucky. And then later on, basically, basically Alice and Six in the room she's like complaining about the fact that, the fact that he's here and no woman has fallen for him, because he's talking about Snow, he's with a princess, a female police officer, and no one's fallen for him. And of course, talking about his pervertedness, where he basically is groping a lot of women, intentionally by accident. Yep. So, and of course, our girls community, and then you have it where Alice has it where she just grabs Six's hand, puts it on her chest. And she's like, well, you're silicone, you're a robot. Yeah, not much there. And look up, here's Snow just happily come out of the hallway. Of course, there's been an emergency meeting. Of course, he's summoned. And she's blushing. So they revealed the Chosen One, because I mentioned the Chosen One last meeting. Like, oh, it was like some mysterious person coming to the world. It was like, is it going to be him? Oh, it was Miss Gilbite. Nope, not him. It was actually your brother. Like, really? Because that is quite different, because normally Chosen One is usually somebody who's not actually from the area. That's typically how it is. Usually the Chosen One is some random person supposed to be the hero. And turns out it was actually a local. The prince, the heir to the throne. Well, actually the princess is the heir to the throne, not the prince for some reason. Maybe they're older, I don't really know. I haven't seen them in the anime yet. So then they found out the Chosen One's been wounded. Not seriously, just that he's been wounded. He will live, but he couldn't take this tower, which are these fancy riches. So it's just about burning it. I'm thinking like, okay, and the general's like, that's a good idea, but we're going to go with full frontal assault. So they basically launched their assault, and of course, Agent Six basically waiting for Grim to wake up. Of course, Grim basically has been having sex dreams because of the way she describes it. Oh yeah, the first time we see her, she's actually in bed, and her wheelchair is right next to it. Yep. Then of course, then again at night, and of course, Snow basically didn't like the fact that, Agent Six had a fight. Of course, she's exhausted. Rose helps her, which that's nice of her to do. Rose probably thinks of Snow as like a big sister, more so than Alice. So they came with their plan. So basically, take out the heavy armor, and basically start rappelling up the wall. And the way the order is that you have Six, Snow, Rose, Grim, and then Alice in the bottom. Yeah, and also Alice gets full view of of Grim's panties and gives her like thong monster, I think it is. I thought that was so funny. Yeah, so she's like, "Don't call me that," and if 2 camera shots of her panties, like looking up, and she was really hoping Six be the one look up her skirt, not Rose. And then it's filled with a halfway climb with the tower. Which is, her arm is exhausted because of all the sword swinging. So Six is like, okay, why don't you just climb on me? Like, I'll put you on my back. And it's like, put your tight. It's like, yeah. And this actually, I think, something added at the end. Because they don't mention this in the book and stuff. I remember where he actually is smiling at the fact that Snow's breast is basically pushed up against his back. Yeah, so if there's resistance, of course, and he climbs up, and then he basically proceeds to crawl with Snow on his back, and then he proceeds to throw the goat demon, off the side, and then he proceeds to throw a rock at the bull's something. They don't say what it was. Of course, he's down. Of course, he's fun top lot he just basically defeated it some big victory, and made a deal with how much is it, and of course the guy just simply surrendered. And then of course later on you have Six in his room after this particular battle, where he's basically in his underwear. Yes, it's his underwear, and Alice just cleaning her gun. And then, of course, he starts calling Snow Boobzilla, which Alice starts calling her that too, which I thought was so funny. And they had this thing where they basically briefly talk in their home language, which, they did this several times in the book itself. So, and I'm thinking it's about freaking time they actually. I think the last time this was back in a pilot episode. They'd been they didn't do this last episode 2, but they do this episode here, and of course, it's a big pay. It's you pay as well. You never get paid this much. And then Alice gets some pay. Oh, nice. And basically, according to Snow, the amount of gold that Six got is equivalent basically for someone to live a life of luxury for 1 year. And, of course, he complained about the fact that when he came back from Sahara Desert, he never got a thank you, just basically do some errands. And the fact that his salary's never improved the whole time he's worked for the Kazakaki organization. Also, he got a bunch of evil points basically for the last mission, which I thought was interesting. The fact that he did make a lot of proclamations, threatened to kill somebody. Yeah, apparently they got a bunch of evil points. So then, of course, then that's where the episode ends. With basically, that, and then we have a brief cutaway with the 3 women who basically read his report about what happened. And these reports, in case you're curious though, they actually were presented in every chapter. Yeah. And in every chapter of the book, this is also book 2 as well, where Six would send a report to the corporation at the end of every chapter, basically giving a brief recap and get basically what he did throughout the chapter. And this is like this for the first book and second book. I own the third book. I don't know if it's like the third book or not. But it's interesting that they use this as a way to end the episode. Yep. Gotta say, pretty fun episode, and I can't wait for next week. Oh, I forgot to mention this in my last video, where there's actually Easter egg to Konosuba. We have Six basically saying, explosion, does this. That's not the Mega Meme, which I thought was so hilarious. Also, the second book had a one-shot crossover with Konosuba, which I found to be so awesome. The fact that there's a crossover with Konosuba. Do I think it would be that for the anime? I don't know. I hope it does. Though the thing is, you probably have to contact Crunchyroll for their dub actors for this brief little short. Yeah, you probably now. As far as I can tell, Monica Real apparently works for like, from what I can tell, apparently she has voice over not for Funimation, but also for Sentai Filmworks, even Crunchyroll. So she's a very busy woman. So I'm sure that they can probably contact, hey, Crunchyroll, can we borrow your Konosuba dub actors? I mean, I read the story, so in the book, there's brief appearances by Sato, by Subaru. I think it's Katsuma. Yes, where he appears in the book. Basically, the four main leads of Konosuba do appear in the book. Yeah, and when you read the short story, based on one female character, it is completely obvious it's Darkness. And, oh look, a woman with blue hair. It's Aqua. And mentioned about Mega Meme briefly. And apparently it looks like that Katsuma may actually be a member of this of the corporation, which that is interesting. And they call it like God's blessing on this like combatants, I think it is. Yeah, it's a short story that happened at the end of book number 2. Though, in my opinion, if you're going to basically do that crossover, you gotta include the English dub actors for Konosuba. I'm sure the actors themselves would love to do this crossover. Oh yeah, definitely. One thing I kind of noticed though about Grimm herself, appearance-wise, she reminds me a lot of Whis from Konosuba. Yes, of course, same creator. I mean, appearance-wise, not by personality, just by appearance-wise, she reminds me a lot of Whis. But her personality, it reminds me of Darkness. Mm-hmm. But what about Snow, mind you? Snow kind of reminds me a little bit of, I would say, Alice, per se, because of her constant crying. Yeah, she reminds me of Alice. But if you're curious, like, who could be, like, the show's version, like, who's similar to, let's say, Megamine, for example, I would probably say, I don't think it's Rose. No, I don't think so. I could probably say they could be giving it that to... I highly doubt it's Alice. No, I highly doubt that. So my personal thing is that they probably gave that a, kind of the similar role for that for Rose. It's possible to say at least. And of course the princess herself is basically, appearance-wise, if you look at her in the anime, if you read basically a picture of Iris from Konosuba, it's the same exact person. Appearance-wise, same blonde hair, same dress, despite the fact it's a completely different character. And though, of course, the creator of the series, well, not the anime, the light novel himself, is not the only person who's notorious for reusing character designs. As a matter of fact, he is one of 3 I've seen. I mean, Hiro Mashima, he is notorious for that, for using characters from previous series he's worked on in the following one. The only one I can think of that did that was the creator of Inuyasha. She did pretty much the same thing too, where characters from Ranma Half, where their character designs were used for Inuyasha. Obviously. So basically there's been 3 that I can think of where reused character designs. Excuse me, yep. So yeah, that's it for particular review. Stay tuned for my review for My Hero Academia, which will be next. That'll be next video coming up. And then One Piece and Boruto, and then that'll be probably it. The only thing else I might do say is maybe a comic corner or 2, okay? See you next video. Bye.